Hi my friends, this is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. And today I have something I think will be of interest. I think it's going to kind of inspire you and encourage you too. But you know what? I have 2 books to review. I was only going to review one, and then lo and behold, while I was looking for something, guess what? I found the companion book. So without further ado, let's get right into it because I'm excited since I have 2 books to review. First of all, the first book that I'm going to review is one that I have had since about 1998. That's when this book came out, so I'm sure I would have bought it right away. I got it, I don't think I got it from Joann. It doesn't have a Joann sticker, so I either bought it on Amazon or from a book dealer. It has a book mark, so I think it's from Lark Books. So I believe I got this online from a book dealer. I don't know if they're still in business, L-A-R-K Books. And the name of this book is The New Knitting Stitch Library, and it's by Leslie Stanfield. Now, I got the book back in the day just because I love buying stitch books, and I can tell just by it wasn't, I think it may not have been brand new, but it was considered, you know how they rate it, excellent condition, good condition. I think this was considered an excellent condition. And when I got the book, of course I was excited, as I always am, and then I get distracted with other shiny things, and I think I put the book over in my stitch book stash. So while looking for something else in my stitch book stash, I found this one. So let me give you a quick like look through and just tell you, I don't know how quick it'll be. It is a fabulous book. And like I said, this one came out in 1998, so anything before 2000, then you can consider it an antique. So this is an antique of stitch books. Now, have any of you heard of Leslie Stanfield? Do you have this book? I don't even know if you can still get it on Amazon. But I'll tell you about the other book shortly. But just flipping through, it just looks like, oh, that's a nice little stitch book. And then, wow. Then you turn and then you find this whole collection of beautiful, I think you'd say Pictionaries. Maybe if I hold it up just a little bit. I'm trying to. It's so hard with books, especially that are shiny paper, not to have a big glare. So I'm going to hold it up just for a few minutes. Then I'll lay it back down just so that you can really see some of the beautiful swatches in the book. Now I think I'll have to just put it back down and just hope that you can kind of see it. All right. And they're beautiful swatches. They're beautiful. The color just stands out. It's just very inviting. They're separated, of course, into sections. This is the knit and purl stitch. All of these swatches here are made with just 2 stitches. So this is why I don't understand people who say, oh, I just don't understand, or I don't like the purl stitch. Well, the purl stitch in knitting is kind of like if you got a great meal, but for some reason your sense of taste or smell was off. Well, the meal wouldn't be as exciting. Well, without the purl stitch, the knit stitch by itself is just not that exciting or inviting. So the purl stitch is like the seasoning, the thing you need to taste these nice stitches. Taste and smell. So hopefully after I tell you about this book, you that are a little leery of the purl stitch, maybe you work the knit stitch, will find, oh, okay, I'm going to give it a try. So let's just go through now without further me keep talking. This is the Pictionary for the knit and purl stitches. And as I said, all these swatches were created with just 2 stitches. Purl and knits and purls. Now let's see if I can read anything. Well, let's go on since I have more. Then the next section, you have your cable stitches. Here's your cable stitches, and it has beautiful Pictionary stitches of your cables, different ones. Some I recognize, some I don't, because there's so many stitches that are common to just about any stitch book you can find. Let's push it up a little bit. There you go. Once I move it, then okay, better leave it still. All right, so there is that. Then the next section, there's a few more of the cable here. Lace and bobble stitches. Really nice, really pretty stitches. A lot of pretty lace. Some I recognize, some I don't. Just like, and then look, it just keeps going. This is the lace and bobble. Look, another whole 2 pages of lace and bobbles, which is, I like moderate lace. I'm not a fine lace knitter, but I am a moderate and seasoned lace knitter. So there's that. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right, then we go on now. Here's a section called Twisted and Other Stitches. Twisted and Other Stitches. I see right off the bat some edgings. There's some edgings. Beautiful lace edgings for projects. Some pretty motifs. And then some embossed knitting also. Stitches that are raised, that are embossed. Okay, now let's get to let's read a little bit. Let me just tell you a little bit about each section, some of the sections. Well, first of all, it has a great section for those, because I am trying to move people that follow me into knitting from charts. I want you to start, really get into knitting from charts more, because it's a lot faster. You have less mistakes, because your eye's not trying to find the word all the time. Plus, you can actually get an idea of what you are knitting. You can actually see how a chart can lay out a design that you can't see when it's written just in plain words, when it's written in rows. Okay, but there's nothing, we still love rows, and that's how I started, and that's how I still knit some things. Some charts maybe are just too much. So, but to learn how to read the charts, there's a lot of information in here that I just can't cover tonight. But she really breaks it down. Now, the fun thing about her charts, this is Leslie Stanfield again. All right, she uses mainly 2 colors, and it really makes a difference, and it pops. And I'll show you once we get over to more charts. Here's the glossary. The main thing when working out of anyone's book, stitch books or pattern books, always find their glossary, their legend, their abbreviation, or the key. This is where they give you important information about the stitches, the symbols, and things that represent the stitches that they're using, so that you don't wind up, using the wrong stitch. So here's that, abbreviations, glossary, symbol. Look, beautiful. And for, like I said, this one worked out great for me because of the color tone. She uses red dots, you're going to see in just a minute, and kind of gold color, or I hate to say yellow looking boxes instead of your traditional black and white. She put hers in color, and it really did make a difference. All right, let's get on. It says knits and purls. I want to read this to you real quick for those, just to encourage you. Knits and purl stitches. Knit and purl stitches are the basis of all knitting. On their own, they offer a tremendous number of possibilities. The smoothness of the knit side of the stitch and the roughness of the purl side can be contrasted to make textures as varied as seed stitch and brocade. The stitches can be aligned vertically to make rib or horizontally to make ridges. In turn, these can be combined to make brick patterns and basket weave. The very simplest knit and purl textures are sometimes overlooked. See, just overlooked because people consider it very, beginner. All right, but a sweater banded with many small repeats stitches would be very attractive. Traditionally, English fisherman ganzi, decorated with knit and purl geometrics, are enduring classics. I have a book of ganzi knitting. I just have never had time to really get into it. I have looked through it and maybe used a few little stitches. It's all the fisherman rib sweaters done in knits and pearls and the amazing designs. One night we'll just take a look at it, and just so that you can see it, but every book I show you, you don't have to, it's not something you have to buy if you're not going to get into it. I just want you to be in the know and see the stitch books I have. But ganzi knitting is just knits and purls. Whatever the design, it's advisable to use a smooth, firm yarn. Okay, none of this thick and thin and nothing, real snarly or anything. It says to use a smooth and firm yarn and a close gauge to emphasize the contrast between smooth and raised stitches. So when I was doing dishcloths, and I use a lot of knit and purls, I use smaller yarn, not my big, maybe like what I use for a sweater, but I use smaller yarns and smaller needles. I did use smaller needles. Back in the day, I could use 6s. I probably could use a 7 now. I could try 7, but I'd probably see how an 8 would do also. All right, so now let me move now. Now I want to move a little bit faster. So, because there's just so much in here, let me just find a page so that I can just give you an example of what her charts look like. Let's see if I can kind of hold the book in such a way that it won't cause a glare too much. There we go. Okay, so now just looking at, here's a pretty page of charts, and you see the color that she's used to make the chart, or make the chart or the boxes stand out, really does make a difference. Now, as you can see, looking at these swatches, look, they're very detailed, very textured, they pop out, they're like embossed stitches, they're raised. Okay, but look how simple the chart is. And in the first part of the book, she will tell you everything that you need to know. In this book, all the yellow, we'll just go with yellow, I guess. All the yellow boxes are knit on the front, and then you purl on the back. All the red dots, that's the raised work. So on the front, you purl the dots, but on the back, you knit the dots. Oh, see? Okay, then she does the repeat here you can see the repeat. Here's a repeat here, and then anytime there's an extra stitch, she puts it in a blue. She uses blue to mark the box. So you'll know that this is a repeat. This particular pattern here is 14, multiple of 14 stitches. Here's the repeat box, and then here's the plus 1. So it's 14 plus 1. Makes such a difference when you take time and actually read through some of the beginning of the book and not just jumping in. So I'm just going to move now just a little bit just to show you real quick what's in here. Here's another pretty chart, but look at the beautiful raised work it makes. But the chart, just red dots. Now, yeah, when you work in this book, you're going to say, Jay, I'm seeing dots. I'm seeing red dots. You'll get used to it. Oh, yeah, you might get a few red dots. Okay, so now I'm just going to flip through. Oh my gosh, look at that. We have to stop here. Look at that huge, that beautiful motif. A multiple of 54 plus 1. It is a huge, now I don't, this must be the picture, but this picture is not standing out to me as well as it could be. I don't know if it's the color or just the way the photograph looks. But the chart is very nice. Easy to see. And if you take it slowly, line by line, it will be easy to work. Cable stitches, we're going to glance through. We are working in cables now. And I will be maybe doing some cables out of this book or one of the others I'm going to show you. Cables, pretty much the same. Here's a beautiful cable here. And here's the chart. Now look at the chart. I'm going to bring it up real close. Look at that chart right there. It's a panel of 12 stitches. That's in the yellow, the gold boxes. And then you have the plus or the reverse stockinettes on each side. You reverse the stitch, purl on the front, knit on the back. Alright, so I'm just going to go through because, and if I see anything, just beautiful stitches. Like I said, I recognize some, and some I do not recognize and would love to do. That one's a really pretty. This is different, and you know, you have to start thinking of things we could put these in. Oh, look at that pretty chain of hearts. That's what I would call it. Now, just looking at the chart without you reading some of the first part of the book and getting the setup and knowing her abbreviation, this would look like a nightmare. But once you, like I say, get the key is up front, the key is in the information she gives you. You got to have a key to unlock this, to unlock the information. All right, let me just run through, see if, just showing you some of this book. Of course, it gets harder and harder the further you go. And that's another thing. Don't start at the back. Start at the beginning. Start where you feel, where you can encourage yourself. Because knitting is mainly practice and encouraging yourself. All right, there's more lace and bobble charts. Some we've seen, some I recognize right off the bat. Okay, so this is, I'm just flipping through. Here's some pretty lace on the edge lace, where I use a lot of these, you know, lace and border stitches for when I do my shawls. And here, and this looks like really fine, like in thread weight. Twist and other stitches. We would have to get more in that and see what the twist is and how it's done, how she's doing it in this book. And this book, as I said, was, I bought it in 1998 and just never got around to doing very much. I did a few things in the back, in the lace part, because I see stars. Remember, every time I do something, I'll put a star by a pattern, so if I'm ever looking in the book and I see a star, see like that. So I have done some things out here, so wherever I have a star in my stitch books, I know that I have looked and read, but I will have to read some more. But this is the new Knitting Stitch Library by Leslie Stanfield. I don't know if Amazon still has this, but there's always a but. But never fear. Let me show you what Amazon, once I started looking for something else, you know how it pops up, they know how to read your mind. Oh, I think, or we think you will love this book. So let me show you the book that they suggested. Back in just a minute. Okay, my friends, now I am back with the book that I was so excited to show you before I found the older book. First of all, the first book I just shared with you is more a beginner, intermediate, or a seasoned knitter book. This one is more on the more experienced knitter. people that read charts a little more, but I still wanted to share with you because once Amazon showed me this book, I could not believe. First thing I said was, how could I have missed this book? Because I am I search out stitch books. And the name of this book is The Knitter's Stitch Collection, a creative guide to the 300 knitting stitches you really need to know. And what caught my eye was the name, Leslie Stanfield and Melanie Griffith. But Leslie Stanfield, and I knew right then that I think I have a book by her. And of course, when I started looking, I found the book, the one I just shared with you. Now, before we get started, like I said, I could not figure out why would I have missed this book. And then I started kind of looking over the book, and right here in the very back, on the back cover, it says previously published, and I believe this was published in, I think it said in the front, 2010, and it was published under a different cover. But I still didn't have this cover either. But it was the same name, The Knitter's Stitch Collection. All right. So when I looked up front, it was republished again in 2021. So this is the 2021 republished cover. And it is on Amazon because they're the ones who found it for me and suggested that I buy it. And I bought it. They know how to read your mind. All right, so let me just go through this. Won't go into depth because, like I said, this is a more advanced book, and I'm still just trying to get into it myself. But as you can see, the first cover was 2010. This is the 21st, the reprint. And I'm just going to kind of go through. Now, she didn't use a color combination. She used black and white. We're back to black and white now. But there's a lot of information in this book, and a lot of pretty pictures in the picture dictionary. It says this book features 300 stitches arranged in chapters, each color-coded so you can easily find what you want, starting with basic texture, plains, and purls. They call them plains and purls. The content moves through the range of samples, ending with a collection of unusual techniques. At the back is a guide that shows you how to use the stitches for design, along with a rundown of all the essential knitting techniques. And she just breaks all of that down. So this is the main purpose of this book. All right, now the stitch collection. She starts out with the Pictionary of some of the pretty swatches. And as usual, she starts out very simple. These are, again, knits and purls. Knits and purls are the building blocks of knitting. Again, they make stocking and reverse stocking stitch, many ribs, and many more textures. Understanding that the smooth V of the knit is the opposite of the round blip of the purl is the key to these stitches. 2 stitches makes these beautiful stitches that you can use to texturize scarves, sweaters, and other things that you might want to make. But remember the other point in the other book, be sure to use small yarn, and you need to use smaller needles. Make the gauge tight, not loose like my number 9s wouldn't really work that well. You wouldn't see the design wouldn't pop as much. All right, so I'm just going to flip through this one, and you can see she starts out very simple, making very simple little charts, and then she'll go even into more interesting and detailed charts. Beautiful little motif. You need a star? Here's a star. Just purls and knits and purls. Maybe you want to do something and you want to put a star on something. Well, there it is. All right, now here's a Pictionary. It says twist. Right there. Twist. Let's read a little bit. Crossing stitches without a cable needle is a different way to make stitches travel. It can bunch them together or send them in diagonals across the knitting surface. Use twists to draw, repeat patterns, or to make motifs. The result is like cabling but with a character of its own. That's what she's talking about. She's calling it the twist. Stitches that travel. Stitches that, but you don't really, it's not like knitting with a cable needle. It looks like cable, but it's not cables. It is, but it ain't. But there's just I just want you to see the pictures. And then, of course, then you get started. You see the charts are ramping up now. And she's back to black and white. Oh, now you're going to see black and white dots. I mean, white squares and black dots. Oh. So I'm just going to move through some of this till I come to the next picture area just to show you. So you can get a glimpse of the nice swatches. As you can see, I would consider, even though it's as simple as the first book, but by just having the color of black and white, automatically your mind tells you this is hard. It's just amazing what having that color, how it changes your mindset. Okay, right here. Here's her section on cables. Right here, cables. Stitch selector, cables. Okay, using a cable needle to work groups of stitches out of sequence produces the raised patterns of ropes and braids seen in Aran style knitting. Start with simple repeats and then graduate to more complex designs before attempting a Celtic knot or a figurative motif. And you can see probably cables we have, you've seen in other books. She doesn't have quite as many pictures in this, the Pictionary, but there are some very nice, designs that some people might find very inviting. All right, so now as I move through, like I said, since this is more an advanced book, I'm not going to dally too much on this one, because we probably won't start with this one. But I could not resist when Amazon said, you need to order this book. Now here's the lace section. Stitch selector, lace. It says, the effect that you can achieve with lace stitches vary from bold outlines to overall patterns, but the principle is always the same. With open yarn overs, increases balanced by some type of decrease. Remember, laces, increase and decreases. Lace patterns also combine well with raised textured stitches. So, you have your Ganzi knitting, which is mainly of the knits and purls, and they do amazing sweaters. Like I said, I will bring that book out one night, not for you necessarily for you to order or to buy, just to show you what Ganzi, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Or you can just look it up on YouTube. But you can also, yes, you don't have to just stay with that. You can combine Ganzi and lace. So that's what they're saying. Nothing has to stay in its own box. You can combine the boxes. But here's some pretty lace work, as you can see. And there's more there. Isn't that pretty and inviting? I think the color just... And then there's all the separate ones. She's, giving you the chart. Chart starts out easy, and then they kind of move up as you go. But now I want to show you something that I found interesting. These are, I'll just real quick, I won't stop too much here. These are the baubles and the leaves, the raised patterns, the embossed motif type patterns here. You see that? Lots of baubles. All right, but now I want to show you this that was really interesting. There's the color section, the colorwork section, tarja and stranded knitting and intarsia. I don't do, I've done a little a little intelligent, but I'm not really into that. So, but for those that are, they have that section to accommodate you as well. See, just real simple. I've done like simple little things, and I've even done duplicate stitch where you put a design on it. But it didn't just call my name. Alright, so, but I want to get back. Okay, so once I got through all of that, and I got back to the back, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is such a nice book, and I'm glad I bought it, but it's not for us to start with right away. And then when I got to this page, I went, what? Oh, how many times have you wanted to have an alphabet to knit something with a letter or monogram something in your knitting? This book gives you the stitch selector of letters, the full alphabet, A all the way up to Z. Yeah, even Zelda, she'll find this book exciting. Look, there's Z. Oh, and then there's the numbers. They give you all the way up to 9, from 0 to 9, so that if you wanted to knit something, if you have young people, little people running around, and maybe grandkids, and maybe you want to do something, well, at least it's in this book. So this is great for, like I say, seasoned knitters that who like to create things and make pretty gifts. There's that. And then each one, she has given you a chart for each letter, and they're just mainly in the lace, just yarn overs. Yarn overs, knit 2 together. You have to have a decrease. Yarn overs either knit 2 together, yarn overs slip, slip, knit, or yarn overs slip 1, knit 1, pass, slip, stitch over. All of them are really simple. Something that we've done over and over already in just the charts that we've used so far. So there's that. There's beautiful, all the letters. Oh, there's J. Oh, I got to find something to put J on. But you can see all the pretty letters. All in the book, which I thought was, what a great treat. It's like a cupcake with the cherry on the top at the end. So here's the cherry on the top of this great book that tastes like a cupcake. That reads and smells and tastes like a cupcake. It says, knit, know how. Turn over to find a wealth of rich information to guide you, including advice on how to incorporate stitches in the book into your own design. Illustrated essential techniques, key information on how to read the charts, and a list of abbreviation symbols used in this book. A nice ending, a nice way to just tell you this is what this book is about. And last but not least, just when I thought, okay, and we use a symbol page and all of that, like I say, you find that, the symbols, the abbreviations. Then she goes ahead and puts what they're calling it a fold-out flap of your information. Just something that you could have when you're knitting and not have to try to find it in the book. It's like a little cheat sheet. Look, I'm going to pull it close. See it? And it folds out. Now let me put it. Well, I'm not doing very well on this at all. It folds out. It folds out. And it has has the abbreviations so that you don't have to try to flip through and find it. You'll find it right here. You can just easily look as you're sitting knitting your little cheat sheet of abbreviations. Now, wasn't that nice to think of? And there you have it. Here is the original cover that was back in 2010. I hope that's showing up right there. And now, this is the republished for 2021. The Knitter's Stitch Collection, as I said, is a creative guide to 300 knitting stitches you really need to know by Leslie Stanfield. So, what do you think of these two books? As I said, depending on your skills, if you are new and or are medium or even seasoned, this would be a great one to start with. The new stitch library, the new knitting stitch library. This one you will understand and be able to start working in right away once you read the front information, as I suggested. This one would be more for us to conquer a little later. So I will hold it in my stash until we come back and we will work things out or work something out of the book as I find something of interest or come across a good idea or a great project. Well, what do you think? I've given you the key to unlocking more skills on knitting and how to encourage yourself and what books, that will just open doors for you. But you have to take your time and follow the steps. This is Jay, and to all my friends, everyone, everywhere, every size, I want you to enjoy these books. I'll give a code, Amazon code, but this is not to get you to buy these books right now. We're not even there yet. But at least it will be there for those that are ready or who just like me. I like to go ahead and have books in my library so that anytime I want to look at them, I can. So until I get a project ready, I want you to wish you happy knitting, and I will see you soon.